I'm Will Salas from the Smithtown Library, and today we're going to be discussing patents, patent searching 101 specifically. So, first of all, congratulations. You may have a brand new idea that is unique to the world, and you'd like to patent it because you've heard of the word, but you're not quite sure what it means, or you're further along and you're pretty sure you'd like to find a patent. Well, the first thing you want to do is not to tell anyone about your idea because your idea right now is not protected until you have some kind of intellectual property protection. And that's what I do with people who visit with me at the Smithtown Library. I usually sit down for about an hour's time with an inventor, and we go over what we call the preliminary patent search. And once we reopen, you'd be more than welcome to make an appointment with me, and my contact information is here. You can visit with me at the Smithtown Library. You can leave a message with me, and I am checking my email periodically. Now, the reason that I am providing this service is because the Smithtown Library is part of what is called the Patent and Trademark Resource Center program, which is a nationwide program of public and state and mostly university libraries that are trained by the United States Patent and Trademark Office to help people with patents and trademark searching. We have been a Patent and Trademark Resource Center since January of 2013, and I've been lucky enough to be able to help over 850 inventors and small business owners seeking intellectual property protection for their ideas. And I'd be very happy to join your team as well. Because if you're new to this, new to starting a business, new to inventing, it could be a little confusing, maybe even scary, and you need to build a team around yourself. One of the things that I do when you visit with me is I will give you a handout of local resources, business organizations that are out there to help people like you who are new to this. And a couple of things that I can't do for you is I can't give you legal advice or business advice. So I do have a listing of people who may be able to guide you in that regard. But what I can offer you is information, specifically on the patent searching. Now, the authority when it comes to patents and trademarks is the United States Patent and Trademark Office for the United States. And a little later, we will be visiting their website, uspto.gov. And yes, there are other players in town like Google Patents, but what I like to do is I like to work with the authority. It is the United States Patent and Trademark Office that authors all of the patent documents. And I've heard from colleagues that there is often some transposition errors when you go to different websites to find patent information. So the U.S. Patent Office is, again, the authority, so I like to work exclusively with them. Now, just to be sure that we're all on the same page, there are 4 different flavors of intellectual property protection. Now, today, we're all going to be in the umbrella business. And this little illustration will help you decide if it is, in fact, a patent that you are seeking. So, our new umbrellas, they have a lot of interesting artwork. We've hired a dozen or so artists to give our beautiful umbrellas a nice, unique look. And we want to protect that. We want to protect our artists' good work. So, what we do is, in this case, this watermelon designed umbrella, we want to protect that design, and we would protect that with a copyright. Copyright protects all artistic works. People who enjoy them would be artists, screenwriters, choreographers, film writers, authors, and such. But we also have a name or a logo that we use with our umbrella. We call them Fruits umbrellas. Now, just to make sure that nobody in our industry decides to try and steal our customers by using a similar looking or sounding name or meaning name, we trademark our logo, which is Fruits, just to be sure nobody infringes upon our right to call ourselves Fruits and nobody tries to steal our customers by sounding or looking or meaning the same thing. To protect that part of our intellectual property, we would use a trademark. Now, our umbrella is also unique because it has been built with a special rack to prevent it from collapsing under heavy rain or to collapse under strong winds. Now, that technology we are going to protect with, you guessed it, a patent because it is brand new to the world. We invented it, and we want to make sure that we get the benefit from all of the hard work, labor, and experimentation involved with inventing this brand new umbrella rack that is very, very good for strong wind. Now, finally, there are trade secrets. Trade secrets are enjoyed by companies like Coca-Cola, Kentucky Fried Chicken, WD-40. If you can keep your competitive advantage, that technological break that makes your product better than others or allows you to produce that product faster or more efficiently, if you can keep that a secret, then that secret might be kept indefinitely and you can keep enjoying that competitive advantage for as long as you can keep it a secret, as opposed to a patent, which only allows you to have a legalized monopoly on your idea for 20 years. So again, if we make our own umbrellas in our very own factory and along our assembly line, our engineers have manufactured a brand new device on the assembly line that allows us to pump out our unique umbrellas better and faster, and I can keep that brand new machine a secret because only a handful of my good employees that I trust see it, I can keep that a trade secret. Now, let's assume that you do want to seek a patent. Now, the reason you want to get a patent is because a patent will allow you to have a 20-year monopoly on your device and your technology. But a US patent will only protect you in the United States and its territories. Very important to remember. A lot of inventors find out the hard way after they are granted a US patent. They arrange to have 100,000 units, let's say, of their device manufactured in China or Mexico. And if that Chinese or Mexican manufacturer really likes your idea, he or she will probably make 200 or 300,000, sell you back the original 100,000 you ordered, and then sell the others to his own countrymen or around the world. And you have little recourse because your protections with a U.S. patent stop at the U.S. border and the U.S. territories. Now, if you have an interest in patenting elsewhere, you should know that around the world there are regional patent offices like the European Patent Office that has over 30 countries, and there are country patents like the Chinese and Japanese patent offices. The three biggest patent offices in the world are the United States Patent Office, the Japanese Patent Office, and the European Patent Office. That encompasses what we call the preliminary patent search. The United States Patent Office has taught me and others Patent and Trademark Research Center representatives that the big three patent offices ought to be searched before you start to make a big investment into your idea. Okay, so from now, we're going to go ahead and jump to the USPTO.gov website, the website for the United States Patent and Trademark Office, where your patent search begins. So here we are, the USPTO.gov website. It used to be a lot more complicated looking, but they've done a wonderful job of making it easier for people to navigate. Now, what I like to do with people who visit with me at the Smithtown Library, and again, I'm going to have my contact information up for you to review shortly at the end of my presentation, is I like to go over what they call the 7-step strategy for a preliminary patent search. The government loves to have their 7 steps, so lo and behold, there is a 7-step strategy for patent searching. Now, to find the handout that I work with, what you want to do is scroll over the word patents, the patent tab. When you hover over patents, you're going to go to the middle column, hover over the search for patents link. Let's open that link. And in this first section here, we have a detailed handout. This is the actual handout that I go over with you when you visit with me at the Smithtown Library. Granted, at this time, I'm going to give you a very brief overview. My presentation online will be limited to 15 minutes. This will be the first segment. There could be a second and third segment, depending on how far I get along. But when you visit with me at the Smithtown Library, we go into much more detail. And as I said, the preliminary patent search involves the United States, the Japanese, and the European Patent Office. Today, we're just going to go over the one patent office, the United States Patent Office. When you visit with me, time permitting, we will go over the entire process, searching elsewhere besides the United States. Now, the first step to our patent searching is to brainstorm terms describing your invention. Now, again, the reason we're doing a patent search is that to be to be able to be granted a patent, your idea has to be unique, novel, new to the whole world, not just the United States, not just the patent office. What'll happen is when you apply for your patent, and let's say you're patenting for an umbrella, well, your patent application will wind up on the desk on an expert on umbrellas, and he or she will know all the websites, all the trade shows, all the magazines, and certainly all the patent offices around the world. If he or she finds an article that was published by a graduate student in Argentina, and that article includes the technology that you're trying um, to apply for, then that could be enough to deny you a brand new patent. So here we are at the very beginnings of searching the US Patent Office, and step one is brainstorming terms describing your invention. Now, the reason we're going to do that is the type of search we're going to do is called the classification search. Now, classification in libraries are used because what we do is we put books and other materials together by topic using the Dewey Decimal Classification System. Same thing with the Patent Office. The Patent Office gets thousands of different types of gizmos thrown at them every single year, from your mousetraps to your fuel cells to your rocket ships. Now, how to make all that information, how to organize that and make it searchable is every invention gets pushed or prodded into a classification, sometimes several classifications. So your job as an inventor is to find out which classification your invention would fall under. Once you have that classification, you can plug into the database your classification number, and your database will give you results of all of the previous patents that fall under that classification. And that's where you got to roll up your sleeves and do your due diligence. You're going to look at all of those previous patents to see if anyone has already beaten you to your technology. And it's well worth the search because your patent application fees are not refundable if it turns out that the patent examiner finds that your invention, your technology already exists. So here we are, back to describing our invention. We're going to go along with the umbrella sample we used earlier. We have an umbrella that's especially built to withstand heavy winds and heavy rain so it won't collapse or invert itself. So going with that, we're going to start by visiting the uspto.gov website, and we're going to use their search box, their handy search box right over here. Now, in the search box, I'm going to type in a couple of key terms, keywords that describe my invention. But before I do, remember we're using a classification search. The classification that we are going to be using is called the CPC. It stands for Cooperative Patent Classification. The CPC is a classification system that was spawned by the Europeans, and ever since January of 2015, the United States has been using it as well. So before I type in my key terms, I am going to preface it by typing in CPC, and then I'm going to type in one of my keywords. I'm going to start with a simple umbrella. And these are my results. What I'm looking for is CPC Scheme. CPC Scheme here, and here, and here. And what I'm further looking for is I'm drilling down. I want to drill down to the pertinent information. So I see the word umbrella appearing here. So I'm going to start with this classification. And when I hover and click on it, I get this page. This column represents all the CPC classifications. And here are the descriptors. So again, I'm going to start drilling down to what is most pertinent to my invention. You're going to learn a lot about your industry doing this. So here we have classification A, 45B, which has Hi, this is Will Salas from the Smithtown Library. Today we'll be discussing Patent Searching 101. This is part B. So where I left off earlier is we had plugged in our search terms and we came up with this is our results. This column again represents the classifications and these are the descriptors. So what we're looking for is something that describes our invention. Remember, we have that invention of an umbrella that is especially built to withstand very strong winds and it won't collapse. So we're going to keep scrolling through these descriptors until we find something that describes our invention. While we're into umbrellas, we don't want to find out everything about umbrellas. I don't want to look at every single patent to do with umbrellas. I just want to look at the patents that are pertinent to my invention idea. So we keep looking. Let's see. We have walking sticks or umbrellas convertible into seats. Interesting, but no. Like I said, you're going to learn a lot about your industry. In this case, we're going to learn a lot about umbrellas. Umbrellas made of paper, umbrellas with attachable covers. We have umbrellas convertible to walking sticks, other umbrellas. Now and again, you will see these dots here. For instance, umbrella frames, one dot, and then you have a double dot, devices for making or repairing. What that means is that this double dotted category falls under the umbrella frames category. And then it jumps back up to one dot, we have a new category. So eventually we stumble across something that sounds pretty interesting that may have to do with my umbrella or our umbrella idea. Here's one, devices for increasing the resistance of umbrellas to wind. Now, the patent office, they like to joke around that they speak a whole different language over there called patentese, which is a combination of legal speak and engineer speak. So, before we go barking up the wrong tree and start searching for this CPC classification, what we want to do is go back to our steps, our 7-step process, and here we have step 3. We're going to review classification definition because we want to make sure that we're looking at the right classification. To do that, luckily, right over here in this column, we have the letter D, which stands for, you guessed it, definition. So we click on the D for the definition of this classification, and sometimes the definition is simply an illustration. Here we are, class A45B 25/22, the CPC classification for devices for increasing the resistance of umbrellas to wind. And I have an illustration here that looks to me like an umbrella being batted about by the wind and rain. So I'm always taking my notes, so I would jot down A45B 25/22. And since I feel pretty strongly, I'm going to go ahead and start searching, which is step 4. We're going to retrieve and we're going to review issued patents using the CPC classification that we've selected. So we're going to go back to our beginning page at the uspto.gov website. And now we're going to come over to this section, the Find It Fast section. We're going to hover over patents. And when we do, we get this drop down. And look, the very first thing I see is patent searching. Fantastic. That's exactly what I want to do. But wait a minute, I have 2 choices. What is this all about? I have Pat FT here, and then there's App FT here. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to search under Pat FT. That was step 4. The Pat FT stands for patents, and the FT is full text. Now, the patent office, they're very, very proud of themselves that last summer they issued their 10 millionth patent. That's wonderful for them, not so wonderful for inventors, because all I want to do is look at the patents for the products and the inventions that are pertinent to my particular search. Umbrellas that are wind resistant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Pat FT, the patents full text. This is the database that includes all of the patents that have been issued since 1790, when George Washington started the patent offices at the behest of Thomas Jefferson, till present day. So when I click on the link for Pat FT, this is the template that I get for the quick search. So all I have to work with now is my classification. What I'm going to do in this search box here is I'm going to type in my classification without any spaces. My A45B 25/22. Over in this box, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell the database what I want to look for, and that is the current the current CPC classification. Now, as you see, the selected years is defaulted in 1976. Why is that? Well, the 1976 was a very big year for the Patent Office. Before then, the patent document is not searchable by keywords. This is why we're doing a classification search. Today, everyone's used to using Google, Bing, or Yahoo to put keywords into the database, into the search engine, and getting fantastic results. This is not possible yet with the Patent Office because that kind of keyword searching is not allowed before 1976. However, classification goes back to the beginnings of the Patent Office, back to 1790. Now, if you have a brand new technology you're working on, some kind of electronics or software, you might be able to perform just a keyword searching. But if your invention includes any technology that may have been around before 1976, you want to make sure to go ahead and select this box here, use the drop down and select 1790 to present. Now, why is that? Well, once something is patented, it cannot be patented again. You can patent improvements to inventions that have been once patented, but you cannot repatent something. So once something is expired, a patent is expired, everyone is free to use that technology. Now, to be sure your technology hasn't already been patented, you want to search the entire database from 1790 to present. Now, we're going to click on search, and the database is going to go ahead and spit back our results. And it tells us that for the classification A45B 25/22, there are 211 patents in the patents full text database that has to do with that. So now we have our result list for all of the previously granted patents under this category of invention for umbrellas that are wind resistant. There's a total of 211, and now we have to do our due diligence and look into each as per the instructions. Step 5, conduct an in-depth review of patents you selected based on their front page information. What that means is going into each one of these patents, reviewing the front page, and see if it's something that we want to look deeper into. So this is the first one. If you've never seen a patent document before, this is what it looks like. We have our patent number. I'm not going to go into too much detail. What I want to point out is the first thing is the abstract. The abstract is a summary of what this invention is. Here we have the inventor's name, Richard Reichmuth from Brooklyn, New York. Here is the assignee. I know it sounds funny. It looks like it should be pronounced assignee, but I kid you not, the Patent Office refers to this category as the assignee. The assignee is the owner of the patent. Now, the difference between the inventor and the owner is the inventor is the one who actually comes up with the idea, but if the inventor is working for his company on his company's equipment and company time, the invention will be owned, or the assignee will be the company. In this case, it's Weatherman Incorporated. Now, he might have been working for Weatherman Incorporated, or what happens is when you get a patent granted, the patent is a product. You could do with it what you like. You could license it, will it to your next of kin, or you can sell it. So in this case, he might have sold it to Weatherman Incorporated. Further along, here we have our classifications. This is the CPC class, and here we have our A45B 25/22, along with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, quite a few other classifications. So this umbrella idea, apparently there's quite a few things. Next, we have our references cited. These 30 or so inventions and patents were found by this inventor when he did his preliminary patent search. As part of the application procedure, you need to fill out and submit a document when you're applying for your patent that has a listing of all of the previous patents that you found that were similar to yours, but doesn't deny you your right to your technology. And in this case, this inventor found quite a few of them. Now, what I like to tell my inventors is that the best thing to do is to save a little time is to look at the drawings. But before I do, I want to point out the rest of the application, the rest of the patent document. The claims tells the world how this invention is made, what it does in the end result, and then a description of the product. Now, a great time saver, as I said, is the drawings, because you've heard the expression, a picture says 1,000 words. Well, if you know your invention and your industry, sometimes a great time saver is to go straight to the images. And when you do, it'll open up here. I have a menu on the left-hand side that I'm pointing out. I like to click on full pages, which allows me to freely scroll the patent document up and down. And I like to go straight to the drawings, because the drawings can tell me an awful lot of what this invention is really about. And if I know my invention through and through, I could probably take a quick look and might be able to gather enough from the drawings of this patent to decide whether this is something that I should be concerned about, whether this invention already has created my technology, or if it has nothing to do with my technology. So for argument's sake, we'll say that this invention has nothing to do with mine. So I will skip it, and I'm off to the next invention. Wind lift eliminating umbrella. Let's try that one. Now let's say that after I look at the images, I find that this invention is similar to mine. Well, then what I'm going to want to do is, if this inventor came up with an invention that's similar to mine, and when this inventor was performing his preliminary patent search, he found all of these inventions to be similar to his. Wow, it's quite a few of them. Now I need to go ahead and look at these inventions as well. So what I do is I click on the patent number, and even though this invention was filed and patented back in 1956 by Sears, it still could deny me my patent if the technology is the same. So I want to review it to make sure that I am still cleared to be able to get my application granted. So I click on the patent number, and I will not get the HTML version of the patent, but what I can do is I click on, once again, the images. And when I do, I will get a scan. I would be able to view a scanned copy of the original patent. I like to come over here, click on full pages, and I can scroll freely up and down to look at the drawings. And the drawings will tell me an awful lot about this patent. So again, I say to myself, nah, this has nothing to do with mine. I will skip it, and I'm back to the races. And I continue doing the same thing again and again until I've exhausted all 211 patents, all the while taking notes as to any patents that are quite similar to my own, and I will include that information when it is time for me to fill out my own application. Now, the next step is I'm going to do the same thing. Step 6, retrieve and review published patent applications using the CPC classification. Now, what that means is I'm going to go back to the uspto.gov homepage, and I'm going to go back to my Find It Fast section. I'm going to hover over patents again. I'm going to go back to my patent search, but this time, instead of going into the patents full text, I'm going to go into the app FT, which is the applications full text. Now, the scary thing about the applications full text is, hello, once again, this is Will Salas from the Smithtown Library. Today we're going to discuss Patents Searching 101, Part C. Again, here's my contact information if you'd like to make an appointment once the library reopens, hopefully soon. You can use this information to contact me. I'd be happy to set up an appointment with you and go over the full version of the preliminary patent searching. In any case, we had left off where we were going to discuss patent searching, the application's full text. Step 6, we're going to use the application's full text. So once again, we are here in the Find It Fast section. We hover over patents, patent searching. Now the app FT. I said it was scary. The scary thing is that the app FT, the applications that are sent to the patent office are held and not published for inventors like you and I to review them until they've been in their system for 18 months. That's pretty scary because that's an 18-month blackout window where you don't know what's coming out the other end. So it's always going to be a leap of faith when you apply for a patent application. Nobody can guarantee you a patent, not a law firm, no one, unless you're on some new technology, you know all the players that are involved and what they're doing. There's always going to be a leap of faith when you're filing for a patent application. In any case, we're going to click on the app FT and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to use the patent classification that we found for wind-resistant umbrellas, and we're going to plug that in here for term 1. When our classification that we discovered was A45B 25/22. Remember, no spaces. Over here, we're going to tell the database to look for the current CPC classification and search. And now we have another 136 patent applications that are currently being what they call prosecuted to see if they are in fact new and novel to the whole world. And it behooves you to look into each one of these patent applications to see if anyone has already beaten you to that technology before you spend the time and money to apply for your own patent application. So once again, what you want to do is open the document. You want to review the abstract, look through the whole document, take note of the classifications. Now, note that some classifications are different than the ones you've been using. It's always a good idea, especially when you find a patent that is somewhat similar to your invention idea. If you keep coming across, let's say for instance, the A45B 25/18 classification, every time you find a patent document, whether it's a granted patent or it is an application, that might clue you in that this could be another classification you should be looking into. So let's assume that's the case. You're always taking your notes, so A45B 25/18. Now let's assume we've looked at all 136 patent applications. We've jotted down the patent numbers, the inventor, and the date that they were filed for our documentation when it comes time for us to apply. But at the moment, we're more interested in that new classification that keeps popping up, the A45B 25/18. So what we want to do is we want to get that definition before we start searching, just to be sure we're barking up the right tree. To find definitions for classifications, we're going to go and hover back over the Patents tab here. And on the drop down, we're going to scroll way down here towards the bottom where it reads Classification. And we're going to click onto that link, which gets us this page. Here, I'm going to plug in my new classification of interest, A45B 25/18. And in this box, I'm going to select definition and submit. And now I'm going to have covers to do with means of fastening the same. Well, let's say my invention does have something to do with the umbrella cover. Well, now I have to perform a whole new search with the A45B 25/18 classification. So once again, I'm off to the races. I go back up to the USPTO seal or the logo. I go back to my home page, back to patents. I'll start with my patents full text because I have a new classification. I click on patents full text. I'm going to enter my new classification, 25/18, no spaces. In this field, I tell the database I want it to look for a patent class current CPC classification. I remember to use the entire database by using the drop-down, selecting 1790 to present, because again, if it's been patented once, it cannot be patented again. So I do want to look at those older patents because I can patent improvements upon them, but I cannot repatent it. When I click on search, now I have another 337 patents to look through. That's going to be a lot of work. However, there are some shortcuts that I could show you. I'm going to have to stop it for now because once you come in to see me, if you decide to come see me, I will be able to show you some shortcuts and how you can use what's called Boolean operators to make your search a little easier. But for now, what I want to do is I want to refer back to our 7-step process. The 7th step of our 7-step process is going to suggest that we broaden our search. By broadening our search, it is telling us to go ahead and use keywords. Remember, keywords are only going to be effective after 1976. However, if you're getting too many results with the classifications that you've used, keywords can be used to help narrow down classifications that might be more specific to your need. Another thing that is suggested is doing an international search. So I'm going to touch upon that really briefly, and then I'm going to wrap it up. As far as international searching, and remember, your patent idea has to be new to the whole world, and the patent examiner that's assigned to your patent will look at patent offices all over the world. And at the very least, once again, the U.S. Patent Office suggests part of the preliminary patent search is to search the big 3 patent offices. To find them, what you can do is hover over patents, scroll over to search for patents. We're going to click on that link. After all this really good information, you're going to come to a section where it reads Search International Patent Offices. And the big 3 includes the ESPASnet database, which is the European Patent Office, and of course the Japanese patent offices. And a little later on, you're going to see other patent offices around the world. Now, the last thing I'm going to instruct you is that every patent office, just like every retail website that you go to, they may function the same. You use a credit card, you find something in their database, you purchase it, it gets delivered. But every database and every website you go to has a different theme, a different look to it. So same thing with the patent offices around the world. They may function similarly, but they all have a different look to them. So you might have to do a little searching, a little trial and error. One thing to look out for is what we've done was a classification search. We used the cooperative patent classification, which again was spawned by the Europeans. So when you visit the European Patent Office, it's easy enough to use it. However, not every patent office around the world uses the CPC classification. Most do, but one of the big ones that do not is the Japanese Patent Office. They use the IPC, the International Patent Classification. Fortunately, CPC and IPC are virtually identical, and you could go ahead and use it. However, you will be doing a little bit of searching when it comes to visiting the Japanese Patent Office. They've updated their website, and it's a little clunky, but again, when you visit with me, I will help you with that type of searching. So once again, this was just a brief introduction to the preliminary patent search. And if you want to go over it with me again in person, I'd be more than happy to go over this once the library reopens. And I want to thank you for joining me today. We cannot wait at Smithtown Library to see you in our building soon. But until then, stay well and continue to visit the library's website at www.smithlib.org for more programs and resources. And I hope to see you inventors there soon so that I can go over the full preliminary patent search with you. Thank you for listening and good luck.